This is Southworth's Spring Pallet Pal, or mechanical Pallet Pal. The mechanical Pallet Pal is a positioner. It's not a lift table. As a positioner, it does something different than a lift table. It responds to the load, not the operator. There is no control. There's nothing for the operator to do but do his job, to load and unload pallets. But the Pallet Pal actually is making the decision for him at what elevation does the top of the load need to be. And it does that through a series of calibrated springs. We ship the unit with 3 different springs, and in that combination of 3 springs, you can have 4 load combinations. We set up a load combination based on the height of the pallet and the weight of the pallet. And knowing those two, you can set up the right spring combination so that when you are working with a load, the top of the load will always be in this 30 to 40 inch window. That 30 to 40 inch window is ideal because the operator can work there continuously with his back straight and not fatigue. He's less likely to hurt himself in the long haul. The features of the Pallet Pal are extraordinary. It has a manual rotating turntable that allows for near side loading so the operator doesn't have to walk around the pallet. In some studies we did some years ago, we discovered that about 40% of the time spent loading and unloading a pallet was walking around it. So the turntable allows for near side loading. The operator can stand in one position and do his job. It has heavy duty tubular legs, and those tubular legs hold the platform stable and rigid throughout the travel range. There's even a dampener located here, and this dampener allows the load to be dropped, such as cement bags. Heavy loads that were dropped onto the pallet would not make the load bounce because of this dampener. So the dampener eliminates any kind of bounce that might exist when you're dropping heavy loads on the platform or pulling them off quickly. The unit also has built-in fork truck pockets in the base frame. Those fork truck pockets allow you to come in with a forklift and move the unit to another location easily. It also has, in each of the 4 corners, a provision for a leveling foot. And this leveling foot is for uneven floors or where there's a floor drain and you don't quite have a flat surface to work on. So the operator can use leveling feet to bring the unit up and level it off so that it sits level on an uneven floor. And then lastly, changing the springs, setting it up for a different spring combination is very easy. These bayonets are removed, and the bayonet allows a spring to be changed or a new spring to be put in. And the spring just drops down into the pocket. And once the spring sets in there, the bayonet is returned, and you've now recalibrated it for a different load or a different height. The other advantage of a Spring Pallet Pal is there's no connection to air, no connection to electricity. Once the spring range is set, it stays that way forever. The Pallet Pal needs to be loaded with either a forklift or a stacker. When a load is brought onto the Pallet Pal, it is set down right on the platform. And as soon as the springs are compressed, the fork truck or the stacker moves away. Now the operator can start offloading the cartons. The idea of the Spring Pallet Pal is to give the operator a device that allows him to work intuitively. In other words, his job is to load or unload pallets. And we're not asking him to do anything different. We're asking him to do the same job he always does. We're just giving him a tool that makes it a little bit easier to do his job. And this tool allows for him to do his work comfortably, to stand erect, to not bend his back, and most of all, not extend his back. Back extension, according to most ergonomists, is worse than back bending. But by eliminating back extension, we put the load up close to his belly, what we call near side loading. So he's working off of all four corners of the pallet. And you notice that as we remove the boxes, the Pallet Pal just continues to rise. The operator does nothing but his job. He doesn't have to worry about making adjustments. He doesn't have to worry about being at the right elevation. He simply has to do the job that he was paid to do. We know that the use of a Pallet Pal, in most cases, will allow an operator to not only work safer, but he can work faster, about 40% faster. So if we can improve the loading of pallets or the unloading of pallets by 40%, we know we can increase productivity of that worker, and he can work safely. Once the load is removed, the pallet's taken away, the next pallet's brought in.